apologize for keeping you a little bit, and I want to make one or two announcements. One announcement was that we had a executive session last week where we spoke, and we had a vote for emergency purposes for two properties. Melissa, what are the two properties?
1336 Margaret and 1711 Martha.
Yes, and we voted to have them both demoed. They will be taken out of the borough funds, and we did that on an emergency basis, which was appropriate. Our engineer deemed that they were structurally unsound and it needed to be dealt with. So that's been done. They'll be put out for bid. They were put out for bid, I'm sorry, and they've been approved. I'm not sure what starting dates they will be, and maybe our engineer will have that in his report.
Yeah.
Secondly, I want to just state for the record that I was away yesterday. I was fishing on Lake Erie, and I caught 26 a walleye up there. We had a great trip. It was unbeknownst to me that we had not put out the agenda yesterday, so the agenda was not put out in time to be proper for the Sunshine Law Act. We put it out online today. I do apologize. I'll take full blame and responsibility for that. I did set new regulations for our agendas. They'll be set every Friday. They'll be put up every Friday before council meetings from now on. If anyone would like to get on the agenda to speak, you will have to be in probably Tuesday of that prior week, Tuesday or Wednesday, so that the agenda can be set. We will no longer wait until Monday to put it out because it just makes it too hard for staffing and everyone else involved. So that's the way we're going to run business from now on. Again, I do apologize. I'll take full responsibility for the actions of myself. I did take a day off. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Moving forward, we're going to start the meeting. Those are two things I wanted to start off with, the announcements. So we're going to start off the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bodadian, would you stop there and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd also like to state that we're in executive session, and I believe I had someone sent the email out to everyone that we were going to have an executive session tonight. Apparently, council wasn't aware of it and didn't get all the notification. They were unaware of it. I thought that I had that sent out by everyone, but apparently it didn't happen. I apologize to council. I try to be very, very open and have meetings. I let everyone speak at meetings. I certainly don't try to hold secret meetings, and certainly it's very hard at times without a borough manager. There's some things that get missed at times, but certainly I'll take the blame for that as well. If anyone has a problem, which I did hear about in executive session that they didn't hear about it, everyone was there but one. Mr. Eads I believe, is Mr. Eads still with us?
Yes, he is.
All right, so he's here with us. He's away on vacation. So we're going to start with our roll call. There will be certain items that we will not be allowed to vote on because we did not follow the rules of the Sunshine Law Act. So we will have to just stop a couple things and vote on them next month. Okay? All right, so let's start with the roll call. Missy, would you like to do the roll call?
Sure. President, Mr. Brennan.
Here.
Vice President, Mr. Rondo.
Here.
Councilwoman Fry. Here. Councilman, Mr. Youngkins.
Here.
Councilman, Mr. Shields.
Here.
Councilman, Mr. Bodadian.
Here.
Councilman, Mr. Eads.
Here.
Gotcha. Chief Fuller.
Here.
Chief Coles.
Here.
Solicitor Vaskovic,
Here.
Engineer
Nice.
exactly, Wise.
Here.
Public Works Director, Mr. Bicey.
Here.
Code Enforcement Officer, Mr. Cannon.
Here.
Everybody's here.
I'm here too.
Mayor Falls, I saved the best for last.
Okay, so for my president's report, I have just a few things we've been working on. We've been diligently working on trying to get a new borough manager. We have a couple people involved. We're going to be re-interviewing several people, and we have another person that we're going to interview. We'll set that up, and Michael Foreman from, who's Michael Foreman with Mayor? Is he with now?
He's with the Allegheny County League of Municipalities.
Is that who he's with
He's
now?
retired from the state, yeah.
Okay. He's been a big help, and he will set things up, and hopefully we'll get someone in here to help us. I have one announcement I'd like to make. I opened my mail up today, and I found that from the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, we've been awarded a grant for $6,300. It is for the Kennedy Park World War I Memorial Park Project. I got that letter in the mail today. I don't know if anyone was aware of that, but I did get that. Also, I spoke with our borough tax collector, Dawn Mercury. In speaking with her, we have assessments that are have just come in, and the assessments are $1,841,300, and what that will be, it will be an addition of about $83,000 to our borough tax rate. Just letting people know that. With that, again, I'm happy to announce that we have gotten this resolved for both houses that need demoed. I'm very happy about that. Hopefully we'll get some info on that. Also, we've set out a bid package that will be going out. I believe that it'll be put out to bid this week sometime. Our engineer, Mr. Elias, will give us a little more info on the bid for the Ravine Street project and where the landslide is taking place, and hopefully we get that taken care of. I know that Congresswoman Summer Lee was here. I know that several councilmen, the mayor met with her today. I know that they asked for several asks. If any councilmen would like to speak about that later during the meeting, they can. And, I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but she did come to the borough, and she did sit down and speak with our officials, which was commendable. And after that, I will turn the floor over to Mayor's report.
Okay. This Saturday is the community yard sale. I mean, if you haven't signed up yet, you still can. If anybody wants to get involved, I know we have a good bit of people signed up, homes signed up for the community yard sale. And it'll run from, I believe, 9 till 1. You can stay, you can start earlier or go later if you need to. July 26th is our next Main Street Market Nights. The theme is going to be Christmas in July. We will have a summer Santa there, so it should be a lot of fun like they always are. We have entertainment, we'll have bands, and so forth. We did have a good meeting with Summer Lee today. She brought some things to us, or maybe she could help us with some things, and we brought some of the needs that we have out there, and where we could use money and get grants hopefully, and where we can find some money to do some things that are much needed done in Munhall. So it was a good meeting. She came up here and met with us, so it was a good meeting. We had four council people there today, right? Or 5. So it was a good meeting, and then I had the chief come in also. That's really all I have right now, so we can move on, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Solicitor's report.
Thank you, President Brennan. As President Brennan indicated, council heard and listened to the public concerns about the properties on Martha Street and Margaret Street, and took immediate action. The engineer and I'll defer to him about the status, but he conducted inspections. We coordinated, based on his inspections, found those two structures are in imminent danger of complete collapse. I made a legal ruling, this does constitute an emergency, which the engineer agreed. I said, let's act immediately, we can't wait for a public meeting. I authorized council to take a phone vote, which they did, to solicit for bids, which the engineer did, and he'll talk about that. And so tonight, we're gonna make a motion to ratify. So that, everything is in place, we didn't wanna wait, we heard the public, and we took the action, the engineering and legal action necessary. Council voted by, I believe it was phone vote, but we will need a motion to ratify the emergency demolition of 1711 Martha Street and 1336 Margaret Street. President Brennan, if that's okay, we can do that now and get that out of the way.
Let's do that right now. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? We're unanimous?
Yep.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so, and Matt will talk further about where we are on that. I know the county has to be involved, and he can explain that. Secondly, I was asked to review the agenda due to an oversight, and we're in a transitional period without a borough manager this time. Mistakenly, the agenda wasn't posted 24 hours in advance, which is required. I conducted a review of the agenda to determine what we can do and what we can't do, and this is the ruling that I've made, so the public knows what we'll be acting on. We will be acting on paying the bills and the payroll. Those are absolutely necessary requirements that have to be satisfied. We must pay the employees, and we have to pay the bills so we don't go into default. The multimodal fund grant, that's okay to act on that. That's a de minimis. That doesn't, it's not some new expenditure. The motion to approve the handicap parking sign will be deferred till next month, together with the motion to accept the subdivision. So the last two motions will be deferred. Council will act on the payroll, the bills, and the multimodal transportation fund grant application. It's due this month. That needs to get in. It doesn't cost us any money to apply, but it has to be submitted timely. So those will be the three motions, in addition to the motion that was already acted on, that council will be addressing tonight. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Engineers report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Like we mentioned, Creek Street, the slide stabilization project is going to be advertised in the paper tomorrow, or Thursday, and bids will be open on August 5th. So we'll have those results to share with council for their consideration. The 2024 paving project, Mr. Bice is going to meet with El Grande next week and lay out the limits of work, and they should start paving within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Ravine tree traffic study, I emailed you all the email from Trans Associates. They completed their data collection. Their data showed that the 85th percentile of speeding was over 10 miles an hour posted limit, and the road receives a daily volume of over 1,000 vehicles. So those two criteria meet the PennDOT criteria for traffic calming consideration. So Trans Associates will proceed with the remainder of their study. And once we get the results from that, we, I guess, determine what kind of traffic calming considerations will work for that area. Lastly, the two demos, they were awarded. Martha Street was DJ demo for $9,000. Margaret Street was Minifield demolition for $17,000. I've reached out to both of them, gave them notice to proceed. They're both in the process of filing their permits with the health department. Margaret being the more important one. Demolition is slated for next Thursday, depending on how fast the health department gets the permit turned around.
I made a call today to that department myself.
Yeah.
Didn't get a return call yet, so.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you,
they're not easy to get
update
hold of.
everybody. Yeah, I left a message, the guy's name was Nick, I think, I forget the last name.
But we'll keep pushing them to get
So he's
that
figured
on
out.
the schedule, get it done.
So just for the public to know, the engineer and the solicitor really did work together.
Yes.
They pushed this through, they got it done quickly. I thank you both for your diligence. Thank you very much. Anything else, Matt?
That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for the engineer?
Great, Matt, thank you very much for all your hard work on that. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, Public Works report?
We're doing our usual patching holes, cutting grass. I will meet with the paving company on the 23rd at 7 in the morning if any council wants to come.
Where are you meeting, Matt?
Right here, outside.
What date was that?
23rd, 7 in the morning.
Okay. Well, how about the back parking lot? We were talking about that. Is that paved already back there somewhat? Is it rough paving?
It's rough, but we swept it up and we're gonna paint some lines
So we're not repaving?
and that.
Okay. All right, we're just checking because we won't want to offend anyone.
Hear that, Tim?
Okay.
Hold on. And because I'm not there, Greg, put it in the spot. It said paving on there. Their thing said paving from their attorney. Don't try to put a show on Rick when I'm not there, buddy. Please don't try to
I
do that.
said we didn't want to offend anyone. We're talking about the state.
It says paving on
We're
it.
talking about the state, Tim.
The agreement says paving on it.
All right.
And don't try and say you want to offend somebody.
We're not,
but you can't do your
we're
job
not
right.
paving, Tim. We're not paving, Tim.
Well, then make sure it gets taken out of the agreement. Because that'll be another expense that we gotta pay, and the residents don't deserve it.
Okay.
I'll take care of that. The agreement will be modified, that's why we're talking about it. Tim, I'll guarantee that's taken out. And then Bob, what about the walkway? There's an issue, there was a question about, let me find the language. Rehabilitate the ramp walkway. Are we doing anything to the ramp walkway?
We cleaned it. The handrail is what's the problem. I'm gonna have somebody weld it. And
Okay.
fix it so nobody falls.
All right, so we're going to repair the handrail and we clean the ramp.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is council in favor of repairing the handrail?
I'm in favor, you tell me what you're talking about, since you want to send me to the bus for paving.
I didn't-
Another question.
I didn't throw you under the bus, Tim.
You tried to be slick, Rick, you tried to.
Oh, that's what they call me, Slick Rick. Anyway,
Far from it.
is anyone, are we all in favor of repairing the handrail?
What is the handrail, what's as far as repair, what are we talking about?
Do we
There's
have a
just
cost?
some posts that need anchored, and some welding.
Well, what are the handrail made of, just
It's steel.
steel?
So would we do that in-house?
I'm gonna bolt plates down. I'll have a welder come in and weld it to the plates.
Okay,
Instead of changing the whole handrail, which would cost a fortune.
okay.
There's only maybe 5 or 6 that
I have a question for Mr. Bicey when you're finished.
Sure. No. Mr. Bicey,
are. Go ahead.
do we generally, what welder do we usually work with?
Roland Vernon.
I know we had a situation up there between Eugene and Miller on Hill Street.
Yeah.
But when do we decide, we call an outside contractor to come in and remove those trees, or when do we do it ourselves?
It depends on how high it is.
We have the ability to send people out with chainsaws and clean things up like that.
Well, it was a pretty high tree.
I understand that. I'm saying that's when you decide, you have to go high and get somebody else.
Yeah.
Any other questions for our street commissioner?
Oh, I do have one more.
Sure.
Are the utilities gonna move their situation there when the curb opening goes in behind the alley? Even though you cleared the tree, everything else is in the way, they can't get in.
Yeah, they're supposed to move everything.
They're gonna move everything? That's still on the, okay.
I'd like somebody to tell the public what you're talking about, Rick, about the paving that lot, instead of trying to make it look like a clown, please.
I'm not trying to make you look like a con, Tim. I don't,
Well,
We're talking-
explain to the public what you're talking
we're
about, so
talking-
they know.
we're talking about the lot behind Westfield here that we're under contract, that we were going over the contract with, what's the company called?
Turtle Creek Valley,
Creek
our
Valley.
neighbor, we need to provide temporary parking while the construction of an upper lot is being pursued and till it's completed. So they asked for temporary parking, and contractually, we were obligated to provide some parking for them as part of this building donation when that happened many years ago. So this is how we're satisfying that requirement, so we're making some minor improvements so that it's safe and appropriate for them to use on a temporary basis.
And that was what I asked you about, that's what I asked our borough engineer, was that lot back there paved? And it already is paved, you've already brushed it,
Yes,
and it's acceptable, and you're gonna just paint lines on it.
yes.
Thank you. Again, I'll ask any more questions for our engineer. Okay, so I'm gonna, not our engineer, I'm sorry, our public works director. So I'm gonna move back to our code enforcement officer and ask for his report.
Yeah, you have a copy of my report. The only thing I have to ask council is, I had 23 hearings for grass and weeds. This morning, out of the 23, 4 people showed up. The other 19 were found guilty. Do I have council's permission to send Public Works to go and cut the weeds and grass on some of those properties?
You usually come here and do that?
I usually would just run it through the borough manager.
Well,
Do we know who the owners are?
Yes.
I don't think we should be doing that.
I don't think so.
That's probably, we gotta compel them to do it. They should be fined.
They were fined. Some were fined up to $1,000, some were fined $100.
I don't think we should be doing that.
So we've done it in the past, that's why, without
Yeah,
borough
well,
manager.
it's only on a, yeah.
Right.
An emergency basis. I mean, if there's a property owner that's not cutting their grass, we need to use every means available under the law to compel them to be responsible, to comply with the codes of this borough, whatever it takes.
Well, that has been followed. I've sent letters. Well, first I did a door knocker. I sent letters. I filed paperwork with the magistrate, and I had hearings. I mean, I could start the process all over again. It's gonna take another,
How much were they fined?
they were out fined from $100 to $1,000.
Fine them again, or cite them again.
Okay. Go through the process?
Yeah.
Dave, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Back in January, the Morgan's Lane situation was brought up,
Mm-hmm.
and the agreement was that they had to have plans submitted by July. Is that
July
taken care
30th,
of?
that's correct, July 31st.
Okay,
Yes.
so what is
Still
it?
waiting.
Still waiting.
Mhm.
So we're talking 15 days.
Yes.
He has to have, what happens if he doesn't have his
I
plans
filed,
submitted?
I filed paperwork with the magistrate.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bicey, are we allowed to cut grass on private property? What if one of our guys gets hurt on that private
My
property?
answer is yes, I could set them down as a code enforcement, or we have an ordinance saying that Public Works or a private outside contractor could be sent to cut the grass. We have an ordinance that says that. But like Greg says, it's not good it's not good practice to do that,
No.
because if our guys get hurt.
Right.
Well, and we're not here to use taxpayer dollars to cut grass on private property. Okay, only if it's an urgent situation in the roads, someone's dead. We know there's no one that we can compel to cut the grass, and it becomes a health hazard for the neighbors. And in that situation, it might be an exception. We can go down there and use our workforce. But we have to exhaust every available means if we know there's a person who's living and owns the property, to compel them with repeated citations, fines, file suit. But we really have to exhaust all those efforts. I'm not trying to be harsh, but
I mean,
it should be a last resort that we use any borough workers to cut private properties.
Some neighbors feel it is a health hazard.
You know, in some situations, there's, raccoons, there's deer bedding down in them, rats, what do we do in cases like that?
Well, to be honest with you, the only thing that high grass really causes is garter snakes.
Well, I
to
know
be honest
where
with
there's deer bedding down.
Well, I mean, they're but anywhere.
Because you can see actually a path where they're going in.
Not to be critical, but I mean, the neighbor could go on the property and cut it too. I'm not, I mean, if my neighbor wasn't cutting their grass, I'd go over and cut it for him if I didn't like what it looked like. I'm not saying they should do that. Because we're all trespassing, frankly.
Right, yeah.
They're on private property, but,
Okay, I just.
Is there ever a point in time, Dave, where it would go downtown and beyond our magistrate?
Only if he files an appeal, if the owner files.
If the owner files appeal.
The owner would have to appeal it.
Like Greg says, I just have to start the process over. I have to send them a letter giving them 10 days to cut it. If they don't cut it, file paperwork down to magistrate. So probably my next hearing won't be until,
What if they don't pay the fine?
Judgments.
Well,
We
we
can
can
file
pursue
judgments
for
on
that. And the fine, and if they're repeat offenders, then hopefully the magistrate makes the fine bigger.
yeah.
I mean, that's the hammer we have to use, is a monetary fine.
Right, that's why some people got fined $1,000 and other people only
Yeah.
got 200, 300 because it was their first
I
time.
would think that would get my attention to cut my grass, I'm gonna find $1,000, would hope.
Greg, don't you remember, that's why we, when the cemetery situation was, we couldn't send public work to cut the grass in the cemetery.
Right.
That's when we had our,
Exactly right, Bernie.
Dave, can I just ask, under the court hearings, where you have 5 to find guilty and we got $5,400, was that for the grass cutting or was that other issues?
Those ones were last month. There was 5 found guilty, I think most of them were grass and there might have been one for an accessory structure.
I'm sorry, 5, some were grass and...
Some were grass and one was for like an accessory structure. Yeah. What more likely was here goes a good example. Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Okay, they were fined $1,000 plus $400 for their gate not being repaired, or they were actually fined $2,000 for their gate, their fence, their gate that's the second time I took them, and also for high grass and high weeds. So they were fined $2,000
Oh, wow, where's that grass by Pizza Hut?
over by their on the side where their little shed is. Yeah, they got fined $2,000. Someone must have got fined $400.
Any other questions for Dave? Dave, I have a question for you. I got a call from I was speaking with a resident. They live on Ravine Street. There's a building down there that has been in decay for probably a year and a half. I don't have the address in front of me, but it's in disrepair, no one's living in it. Are there more than one house down on Ravine Street, or is there several, or is it just one or two?
1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 empty houses down there.
Dave, I think he's talking about the one below the bar with all the weeds on it, right across from Marty's house, that little house.
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know the address.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I took 6 people from Ravine Street to the magistrate today.
So this house is where he's telling me is not livable, and I'll ask you the address later after the meeting, but has it been cited already? I'll ask you all those permit questions. I'll get to that. I'm just mentioning that because I don't want to forget.
I think it's behind Bargo's house. Old Bargo's house. I'm talking to Dave.
Well, he was taken to the magistrate today.
The one behind it. The one that you can't see.
Up on Cole, well, yeah, well, we have
It's
those.
not on Cole, it's on Ravine Street.
Okay, I'd have to check.
It's next to Cheeseburgers.
Yes, that's been abandoned for years.
Yes, years.
Okay, we're going to move on to the police chief's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council has a copy of my report. For the month of June, officers responded to a total of 656 calls for service. We made 28 arrests, conducted 108 traffic stops, and issued 100 traffic citations. Munhall Police Department is a member of the South Hills DUI Task Force. 4 Munhall officers participated in a DUI checkpoint on 837 in West Homestead on June 21st. Officers had 408 vehicle contacts. They made 12 DUI arrests, 2 narcotic arrests, 2 firearm arrests, towed 15 vehicles, and issued 61 traffic citations. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief?
Chief, how's the bike coming?
The helmet finally came in last week, so it's going to be put out on the road probably next week when Officer Hayden's back from vacation.
Perfect, thank you.
Fire chief?
Thank you, Mr. President. You have a copy of my report. For the month of June, the Bureau of Fire responded to 75 calls in June, 59 in town and 16 mutual aid. 23 of those were during the storm a couple weeks ago. In that 10-minute storm, 23 calls, and there's probably a couple more that weren't even logged in onto the CAD system. Our response times are 4 minutes and 9 seconds to be en route from the time of dispatch, and 6 minutes and 47 seconds to be on scene from time of dispatch. You're going to notice, so you're aware, so you don't wonder why New Kensington is in Munhall. We do have a loaner engine in the town from New Kensington. We had to make some phone calls. During the pump testing we had last week, number 4's engine had a problem with their pump gearbox. Some of the parts for that will not be delivered until mid to late September, so we're not expecting to have that truck back until October. So we made some phone calls, and we have a loaner engine from New Kensington, so they're not out of service. And we also had an issue with number 1 squirt. We're waiting on a chip and a circuit board for their turntable. That was all done in the ladder testing. We don't have approximate cost yet, but this is unexpected costs that are coming, but it ain't going to be tragic. We caught number 4's engine early. If we would have blown the gearbox at a call, it would have probably been 30 to 50 grand. I'm going to guess maybe 12 for this repair and probably another 5 just on a guesstimate for number 1, but those are 2 mainline pieces. But all in all, I mean, that's why we do the testing. We'd rather have them fail at the testing than fail at fire. So, just so you're aware, for ahead of time that an unexpected expense is coming in, but that's why you'll see New Kensington's trucks rolling around town for a little while.
Thank you, chief.
Yep.
Thank you, chief.
I have a question for Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Since we've had this demolition process going over, the fire was on Market Street was last July? June, so here we are in August, finally taking care of things. So if you have a fire, a structure fire, who decides that the building is structurally not sound? You walk away from it, what's the procedure that goes?
If we would have a fire, say at that
That fire.
fire, we notify Dave as the code enforcement, let him know that the fire was there.
Okay,
He follows his procedures and either calls the engineer or goes from there.
so what do you do, Dave? You contact the engineer after Glenn calls you?
Usually the borough manager, and then he refers it to the engineer.
Then the engineer does what, sir? You do an assessment of the building?
We'll do an assessment to see if the structure is stable or not.
Okay, that's the procedure we go through. I wasn't sure myself, I didn't know. Didn't seem to be working that well for me, but now we kind of know what we go through.
Yeah, I think sorry to interrupt, but the gap that we experienced back in June was, the switching out of borough managers, the switching out of engineers. I mean, my understanding was that we've had several engineers over the past year or two. And so that procedure, with that 14-day grant that's available through Allegheny County, I don't know if you missed it or just never applied or whatever happened, but I would assume that maybe going forward, that's good to have as a little tag in the back of your mind, is if there's a severe fire like that, that opportunity is open that window's open for 2 weeks.
2 weeks onwards.
Well, I don't think our borough manager knew that. He already applied for it.
Not sure. Yeah, it's hard to say that.
He did apply for it?
Don't we have emails that pretty fast?
There were some other grants that were supposedly applied for, but that's one that I was aware of, and also the funding for that is contingent usually too, as to how much does Allegheny County have available.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Hey, Chief, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do we need to do to get a reserve piece for the Bureau of Fire? Possibly trying to have an engine stored back in the borough building so it doesn't happen again. Because I know there was a kitchen fire in number 4's first due, and they had to show up in a rescue truck. But if that would have been something more serious, a little bit of delay, it costs a house or whatever it could be. What can we do to try to help you guys get a reserve piece so we have it in the borough that anybody can use?
Well, we kind of had that with the secondary engine at number 5, but it was suggested that we get rid of that because of the insurance.
Who suggested that?
The old previous borough manager suggested that we don't need the 2 engines up there, that we should probably work on selling that.
Okay, well, we need to work on trying to get a reserve piece for our town so that it doesn't happen. You know, with me being a fire chief in Homestead, I have no issue loaning you guys a piece of equipment, but unfortunately right now my one vehicle is down, so I can't loan nothing to you guys. But we shouldn't have to worry on somebody else's to cover our town. It's our job to protect our town, so we'll only try to work on trying to get a reserve piece.
We can definitely look into that and see what's out there. It's not a problem.
Ain't that what mutual aid is for? I was thinking that too.
No, we have mutual aid agreements, that's correct. I mean, it's an option if he wants, if he wants us to look into that, we can definitely look into that, or we can just rely on the mutual aid and get loaner engines if these pieces are gonna be out for extended periods of time. This is the first major repair on that truck in 22 years. So, we very well maintain our vehicles, the same with the Squirt, it's also been about 22 years. So I can't really complain that something went wrong on that engine after 22 years. You know, it needs fixed, but it's the parts that we're, concerned us. Once we found out that that vehicle wasn't gonna be back until October, guys from number 4, Dan Lloyd, and myself started making some phone calls and were able to acquire this secondary engine just so they weren't out of service that entire time. So, that would be the discretion of council if you wanted us to look for a reserve engine or just continue with the mutual aid agreements. I'll do what your pleasure is, and no problem with me.
I mean, I don't think we should have a reserve engine in the borough. I mean, we still have 4 fire departments. No one's talking about consolidation and merging of them. Number 4 is the fastest fire department in the borough. They have one of the bigger response areas, the most populated residential area. I definitely think that they should not be without an engine. I mean, do we pull them from their station? No, that's not fair to that part of the neighborhood. But I think that we should have a reserve engine in the borough. I mean, the Squirt's over 20 years old. Number 4, the engine's over 20 years old. The tower's pushing 15 years old. I mean, the age is catching up of our equipment. So we should have something in place for an emergency.
Correct. We should also have a refurbishment fund too, but that's, COVID messed up a lot of those things that we've had in place. But, we'll look into it, Tim, and we'll see what we can do.
I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that our residents are protected. That's all.
We have that engine in there now, they're protected.
I agree.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Thank you, Chief. I want to go back to our police chief for 1 second. And, with all the things that have happened in the last week about training and police responses, I want you to just read over your report that the people don't really see. Could you read the bottom paragraph of your report there on department training for us, Chief? Because this is sort of important that the people know what you guys are doing.
Sure. Sergeant Michael Cease successfully completed ethics and integrity training. Sergeant Smoley completed control tactics instructor course so he can train officers for mandatory in-service training. Detective Jason Trout successfully completed combat anti-terror training the Israeli way. And Officer Boney completed crime prevention through environmental design. He's now certified. He can go to any building and do a threat assessment on buildings.
Thank you. And we certainly thank Officer Bonamy for the market night on Main Street giveaway of the bicycles, helmets.
And gave away 30 bicycles.
Exactly.
We still have more, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, I better bring them up next time. First come, first served.
Yeah, so again, thank you both to our fire department and our police officers. You guys both do an outstanding job in protecting the borough. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, do we have a report from the sewer authority?
No, I was away and so was the officer manager.
Okay. And do we have a manager's report at all, Melissa?
Just what you reported.
I tried to give a lot of that stuff to the public. John in the office and Melissa are doing the best that they can do. They're doing a fine job. We are looking to replace the borough manager. So thank you both, Melissa and John. Thank you for all you guys do. So let's move on to the next part of the meeting. We're going to approve our meeting minutes for June 24th, June 11th, 2024 workshop meeting minutes, and June 18th, 2024 council meeting minutes. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Dave. Second by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're all in favor. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to switch over to a presentation. Mr. Lucas from our Eagle Scout Troop 15 would like to present an Eagle Scout project at Troutman Field. Are you Mr. Lucas?
Yeah.
Would you introduce yourself?
I'm Lucas from Troop 15. I have a slide on here that's about me, but yeah, I'm trying to get approval for an Eagle Scout project down at Troutman. Like you said, it's called a Gaga Ball Pit. It's a game that we play in scouting a lot. There's more information on the slides.
Do we have anyone that knows how to operate the slide?
It wasn't working. We already tried, but I had operated with all the slides, so
Okay.
I'll give a pass if we.
All right. So what kind of game is this while you're passing this out? Absolutely. Looks like he's got them all.
Yeah, I have one. Sorry, the paper clip. Yeah, my stapler broke.
It's like a slide machine. Wow. What's it called again?
Gaga Ball. So, I'll just be building like, it's called a pit, basically. During, when you're playing the game, it's kind of like a ring. And I have more stuff in the slideshow to explain it a little bit more. So for my first slide, so this is my Eagle project proposal, and a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Lucas Fior, and I am an upcoming senior at Central Catholic High School. I like to play volleyball, baseball, golf, all kinds of other sports, mess around with my friends. And then I have been a scout for 11 years as a part of the Troop 15, which comes out of, we meet in St. Tree's Church. And I am currently a Life Scout. So you can see that on the first slide, my troop, and then a picture of me playing volleyball. And then for the project idea, like I said, it's called a Gaga Ball Pit. So what is Gaga Ball? It's a game that not really around here, but typically at scout camps we would play, and it's played in an octagonal or hexagonal shaped ring. And the goal of the game is to hit a ball, typically the size of a kickball. I hit it. You're not allowed to use a closed fist. The rules are on the back of the paper if you guys would like to also look at that. It's on the very back. But you would hit a ball and try to hit it at the other people's legs, or sometimes play just below the knees. And kind of like dodgeball, once you hit their legs, they're out. And then the final person standing is the winner. And all you need to play is a ball. So like I said, it's typically the size of a kickball, or you could use really any ball, preferably like that size, maybe a soccer ball. But I plan to provide that ball at the Gaga Ball pit in Charlton, but I'm not gonna leave it there. I would give it to or keep it in the concession stand, and if somebody would like to play, they would go to the concession stand during a game, or if there's a baseball game, to get the ball and play, or you could bring your own. So, and also I will be, I plan to put the rules, if you look at I think it's the second paper, front page of the second paper, there's what looks to be like a box with a paper in it. Should be, actually, or it's not on it. I'm sorry about that, I apologize.
The red box?
No, so the red box is where it's gonna be.
Okay.
So, I plan to put the rules of the game in a like rectangular square box, and then put it in, like post it into the ground, so if anybody would like to play, they could read the rules if they don't understand or don't already know how to play. I apologize that I don't have it on there. But,
It would be like a glassed-in
yeah,
board.
yeah, and that'll be standing there with a list of rules. As you can see on the back page, like I said, the rules are there. Those are the main rules, and it has variations of how it could be played. I will be having that there, and yeah, I'll have the rules for anybody that doesn't know how to play. So, where, like I said, Trauman Park, in the middle of Munhall, if anybody doesn't know, it's in, yeah, like I said, it's in the middle of Munhall, down behind Main Street, and it will be going where the old fire truck used to be at the park. And if you look in the pictures, where the red hexagon, it looks like, or yeah, hexagon is, that's where I'll be putting it. And I also have a picture from the street view of where we'll be going, right next to the bench. Right, and then the main reason I wanted to do this is on the slideshow too, is obviously to fulfill my Eagle requirements. And another reason is to introduce just a new fun game to the area. I have never seen any other Gaga Ball pits around this area or anywhere like close. The only place I've seen them are at scout camps. And then I've heard about one that's up in North Allegheny, but that's not too close. So I'd like to bring a new interesting game to the area for the kids to play, and so that they can play during baseball games or other events that are down at the park. Just have something to do, add to the park, something I've never seen around in the area. So yeah, and then that's basically it.
What's the base? Now you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So what I was planning to do is just level out the ground down there, and then I've in between a couple of different ideas. So first, I'm gonna I was planning on posting, like putting posts, connecting them to the walls of the pit, and then putting them in, posting or digging into the ground like 12, 24 inches.
What's the playing surface?
So that's after I post it into the ground, I was planning on putting either like rubber mulch or even a turf or something,
Okay.
just on the ground so you're not on the grass or on the dirt. So I was in between a couple of different ideas because there's a couple problems with some of the things. Like if I use sand, it won't be as easy to like roll the ball around on the ground. If I use mulch, I've met with Mr. Falls. He said kids could be throwing the mulch around and stuff like that could be being used for not the right purpose. And then turf was probably my best idea, but that's a little more expensive. So it's one of those.
And you have to cut the grass through the turf.
Huh? No.
You're talking about artificial turf.
Artificial
Okay.
turf, yeah.
If you do it, can you let me know, because I know somebody who can get old AstroTurf.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm still figuring out what is best for the ground currently, but yeah, it's between those couple different ideas.
What do they have at the Boy Scout camp?
At the camp, they have, so the camp I was just at, if you look on, Well, it's on one of my slides. So if you look at slide 4, slide 4, yeah, what is Gaga Ball? There, the bottom picture has a picture of the one at the camp that I was just at, and they have like a concrete slab on the bottom, and they have turf on top of that. But that would be pretty expensive, so I don't know if I would do that. But if I could put turf down on top like gravel or just on top of the ground as it is, that's what.
What are the dimensions?
Yes, how large is it?
So the diameter of it is 20 feet. Each board would be 8 feet long, and I plan to do octagon shape.
Right.
So each 8 feet on each side, and then yeah, like I said, the diameter is 20 feet across.
Okay.
And then height would be about 30 inches, so that the ball doesn't like just go away.
There's no door?
So you?
I was that was a plan too. I was thinking about putting a door in, getting a cut a hole in the side, and put some hinges, and also on some other doesn't seem to be on, but other pits have like just a little cut into the side, so it's not like a door, but it's not all the way down, but it's not as tall, so you could just like step over it.
So how high do you say? You're saying 8 foot, but how high? 30 inches. Okay, so it's 2.5 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wouldn't be using the pre-made cast metal that they have in the ground there. You're going to use a post. Is that how you said you were going to join them?
So I will have the so on slide 3, the project idea. If you look at that picture, how it has like brackets connecting, I will have the brackets.
Okay.
But I don't believe that they go into the ground. So I was thinking is if you look on slide 4, like the one from the camp that I was at, it has boards on the side as supports instead. I was planning on also doing that and then putting one on each side and then digging into the ground so I can put that in.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you know, because I have a question, and we talked, I know already a couple weeks ago, but I didn't think of this one. One concern I have is the kids aren't going to know how to play. I know you'll post instructions, but would you be able to come down and run a couple clinics or something for some kids?
Yeah.
So they know how to play it, you know, and they're just not reading the instructions, because we all know, we read instructions and we don't follow the rules all the time. You know,
I was planning on also
like a clinic or something would be kind of good to run.
I was planning on also putting maybe like a barcode or QR code on there that they could scan if they have to look up a video.
Yeah, it'll be like a clinic, but just a clinic or two once it's installed.
Yeah.
With some of the scouts in the area.
You scan your phone, it'll come right up on your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was.
Because
there's some pretty
concern I have. People aren't going to know how to.
Yeah.
They're not going to read the instructions.
Yeah, I understand. Like I said, I'll probably put a QR code, and then if there's an event on Facebook that I can go down every once in a while.
Try to day for Little League or something.
Yeah. Well, I can do that too. Go down over the days and stuff. Are there any other questions about?
When would you want to start it?
I'd like to start it as soon as I can.
And how long will it take you to finish it?
I don't really have an estimated time yet, but probably wouldn't take that long once I'm started, as long as I get the help that I need from like my friends and other fellow scouts. Probably take less than a month.
Do you have funding, money to buy the material?
I was going to fundraise with my fellow scout troop members and with selling like pepperoni rolls or these things, doing like that, and also for wood, Lowe's and 84 Lumber, companies like that, they give out free wood sometimes or discounted prices for scouts. So I was planning on doing that on top of fundraising.
I was just talking to Mr. Rondo, is there an age limit, or old people like Kevin and I can play that game?
Anybody could play, yeah.
We can do it.
I'll only be able to do it for 5 minutes as long as I don't have to move.
That's not, you could sit in a corner and just wait for the ball and hit it back.
So I'm all for it. I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
I think it's really neat.
But when you say you're gonna fundraise and you're gonna sell pepperoni rolls, nobody ever comes to my house. Why?
He's gonna buy a bunch.
Give me your address on it.
There you go. Yeah.
You're first on the list.
Good answer, young man.
Well, one other question, and it's not, it's more for our solicitor. Would we, anything we do to the park, would we have to notify our insurance?
It's just a piece of, like a game,
Playground equipment.
playground equipment, no. I wouldn't
Okay,
worry
so
about that.
we just, it's a part of the playground, okay.
Any other questions?
So is this something we need to vote on?
Yeah, I think so. I need your approval, so.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to vote on this tonight?
Probably something we can wait on, just we wait on a bunch of
When do
other.
you
Yeah,
want,
then that
yeah,
puts
he
it
wants to
back.
start.
Is there
right
any
away.
cost to the borough incurred?
No, there's no cost. Yeah, you can vote on it.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Get started.
Good
Good job, young
It's
man.
still white outside.
Please come to us if you need help.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna come by and just collect the paper so you guys don't have, unless, would any of you like to keep
Can I
them?
have it?
All right, yeah. Just get them out of your way.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
There you go, sir.
I said if anybody.
I like to keep,
Would anybody else do?
I like to keep.
So wait a minute, one more question. So you had, you say it was gonna be, you could actually make that in any configuration that you want. There's no set rule, right?
Not, I don't really think so, but normally it's played in octagon or hexagon.
What about a circle?
I mean, it's basically the same thing if you want. I don't know.
Do what you want. Don't
Don't complicate it. We were testing to complicate things.
Good job.
There you go.
Good job, Lucas. Good
Thank
job.
you. Would anybody else like?
All right, so next we're going to move on to a presentation and proclamation to John Heddleston, the mayor's liaison from Steel Valley High School. Mayor?
John, pepperoni rolls.
Well, JJ's been coming to the meetings since last September. And this is his last meeting. We're gonna have him after a while because next month he's gonna be at St. Vincent College, so.
All right.
Just want to do a little presentation, proclamation, for all he's done coming to these meetings. Always not the funnest thing to do for a senior and 18-year-old high school student, but he's done it through the whole year and he's always comes here for these. So we enjoyed having him here and it's been special to us. Okay, whereas John Heddleston has been the mayor's liaison to Steel Valley High School the past year, attending all regular council meetings. Whereas John Heddleston was ranked third in his graduating class at Steel Valley High School. Whereas John Heddleston has participated in many extracurricular activities, such as football team, where he was a team captain, basketball, student government, student council, French club, and the drama club. Whereas John Heddleston will continue his education at St. Vincent College for the fall of 2024. Where John Heddleston has been a good citizen in the borough of Munhall, helping his neighbors and being involved in his community. Where John Heddleston has been a role model to his fellow students at Steel Valley High School. Whereas on July 16, 2024, Mayor Robert Falls of the borough of Munhall honored and thanked John Heddleston for his achievements and his commitment on the mayor's liaison program with the Steel Valley High School. Thank you, JJ.
Well, thanks for having me here. I actually did enjoy coming to these meetings a lot. It's very interesting, learned a lot, and I hope when I come back from school to be able to stop in some meetings. And,
Always welcome.
Sure.
Still
Always welcome.
Yeah.
I'll probably look for a recommendation for you, someone we can get next year too.
I'll work on
If
it.
you already think
I'll
of
think of a couple
somebody,
people.
let me know.
I will.
If not, I'll be calling too, we see what we can come up with.
You always have someone you can get to do
We
it.
always have somebody, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Good work, John. Good work. Good work. Okay. A public comment. items for consideration? Public comments?
Where you been?
Oh, I've been around.
She's
How
here.
is everybody? Arnie, I made it back.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Donna Drushman, Munhall.
There's trouble. Come to the podium.
Well, I think my voice travels very well.
You look better behind the podium.
That's okay.
You look great.
My voice does travel. Motion one. After all the bills are paid, do we know what our balance is gonna be? Years ago, I used to have an answer right away. They knew this
We
was
don't.
in every meeting.
Now, as chairman of the finance, since Seth's been gone, we've had some difficulty coming up with reports. We kind of worked on that. We're going to have one next month, I guarantee you.
Okay,
Okay? We'll have one next month.
okay.
Maybe as soon as tomorrow, this week, we can come up with some numbers too, okay? Listen,
No problem. Okay.
tonight we don't.
Okay.
I apologize.
I do have one question on one of the motions that you're not going to vote on tonight. May I ask that?
Sure.
Under, we got motion 2, then we have A, B, and C. The subdivision between 509 and 513 West Miller, what are we subdividing on that property? Is it one parcel with 2 different lots on it, or two different parcels, or how is the subdivision going to be done, and why is there a subdivision?
I can speak on that because I attended the meeting. There's 2 neighbors at 509, 513. The gentleman at 519 wants to make his yard larger, so put a swimming pool, and he asked the neighbor if he could buy or get his property and extend his. So both property owners agreed to that, and that's all it is. It's a simple subdivision.
So it's going to be a simple subdivision, which means both properties are going to have to be surveyed, and then both deeds are going to have to be updated.
That's correct.
So.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, say if one property was 3,800 square feet and the other property was 2,400 square feet, do we know how much of the square feet were taken from the other, and they're still going to be conforming lots?
They're going to be conforming, yes. I don't know exactly what the square footage is, but yes, it's, the engineer looked at that and it's fine.
Did this have to go to the county?
Yes, it went to the county, our engineer reviewed it, the county and the engineer pretty much had the same things, they revised the plans, had the planning here, board, and then it's been got on to the county.
Okay,
If they get the approval from
if they get
council.
the approval from council.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. Good seeing you.
That's it, Dawn.
That's it. Well, there's not much on this agenda.
You just made something up.
She just
I
can
can wait
start
till
it
the end
back.
of the meeting, we can ask other questions.
take a
This is
while to get
on
warmed
agenda
up.
items only right now.
I'll see you next month.
I will try to be here next month.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, sir. First, I just want to say thank you all for working with us in getting this house torn down, and 1336. My question is, once it's torn down, what is the next step? Being this wreck next to my house. I mean, I've been trying to keep it clean as possible, and I just heard y'all say, no one, have people from the county or from the borough coming to maintain it.
Well, I think you could possibly apply for the side lot agreement, and you could take half of the property and your neighbor could take half of the property.
Or if you don't want it, you get the whole thing.
Is that the way it works, Dave?
Yeah, you have to go through a side lot program. You can either buy or a neighbor can buy, or both guys could agree on taking it over, and either one of you could take it over.
Let's do the county.
There's a process to go through,
If he wants to do that.
if you want to do that.
I would love to.
If not, in the past, our borough workers have, every once in a while, gone to those lots and come down, maintained it.
How would I know about going through this process?
We would have to give you that information. It's on the county website.
I'm sure Dave will help you. I'm sure that it's not a problem.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to do a few things.
First of all, put me down for some of those pepperoni rolls. I want to first say, I'm having a lot of trouble in the neighborhood, and I want to say thank you to Chief Fuller, especially thank you. The police have gone out of their way and been very protective, and really good job. My question is to you, Mr. Solicitor.
Yes.
Okay, there's some confusion. We got some people on this side, some on this end. The question's about the front sidewalk. They're saying I own it from the fence to the curb, but it is a public right-of-way, and I have no problem with any of the rules that were told to me. I never in my life stopped anybody from walking in front of the side of the house on the sidewalk, or if a bike goes whizzing down, or, you know, normal stuff. But my problem is, I would not be making as many calls to the police if, like when I call, they're out front for sometimes an hour, carrying on, screaming. And when I'm out there, if I go out there to say anything, forget it, it's a riot. So I can't do that. Okay, what they're doing when they're out there is things like my last year till now, I've been water ballooned twice, all the way to the porch, egged twice, okay? They still like my decorative rocks, and they're not just stealing them, they're throwing them at my house, throwing them in the street. So when the police come, I understand like the situation of the public right of way. So when one police officer says, Marie, they're allowed to be there. And when they hear that they do it that much more. But then I say, I own that, and I'm taking care of that. Don't I have a right to say, don't loaf there, don't cause trouble? You know, I have like pictures, videos upon videos where they're just doing waterfalls down my walk, like with buckets, and I'm trying to get out to go to the mailbox, and forget it, I can't. They're chalking the walk up and playing hopscotch, can't go out then either. Because when I go out, there's a lot of trouble always. And I just want to know if there's anything that could be done, because there's a couple hearings coming up next week. The one girl next door to me threatened my life. Okay, so her friends and the people with her are part of these people loafing in front of the house and causing trouble. So if I could maybe somehow, if the ordinance is there, like, you know, no loafing or whatever it is, could that be passed on to the police?
Basically, it's just clarifying whether some cops say that she doesn't own the sidewalk, other ones are saying, you know, other people say she does.
And I don't want to get no police officer by no means in trouble at all. I've actually been told in front of all these groups of people, he says, if I have to come back down here one more time about this sidewalk, you're going to be cited. So that's where there's a lot of confusion, and I definitely don't want to be cited.
Why would you be cited?
Why would you be cited?
Because I'm calling about the sidewalk.
No, you wouldn't be cited.
I don't
You
know.
call for all the conduct you're describing, you call the police chief,
I
will
have.
support that 100%.
Yeah.
If people are doing the things you're describing, then
I
the police
call
should be
a lot.
involved.
And I apologize to him for that. I call a lot because that's the confusion. Half of them are saying, don't do it. The other half are saying, call us and we'll break it up. So I don't know. Where's that fine line?
Well, the sidewalk is for public access,
Right.
okay? And it has to remain open to the public. The
Right, it's
sidewalk,
just
but
a
the
public
property-
right of way though.
Yeah, it's a public right
It's
of
just
way.
a public right
But
of
I
way.
mean, I have 8, like
She still technically owns to the curb.
from kids ranging
I don't know where your
from.
property line is, but you have, every property owner has to maintain the sidewalk. in front of the
Right, and I
house.
paid for that sidewalk
Yeah,
several
right.
times. I've replaced it. And when I go out there and I'll tell them, can you like just please not do that stuff? Can you please just go down your own place? Then it becomes, they call the police. If I don't, they do. And then either I get embarrassed because they're agreeing with them, they're allowed to loaf here. They can do it, it's a public right of way. I said, but you don't understand. When they're staying there, they're taking those rocks. I have like a stone and flower rock garden, and my whole yard is river rock. they're reaching in like between the poles and grabbing them out and they're throwing them at my house. They're
Well, it's
throwing-
criminal, that's a crime, then
You
the
know
police
what,
have to
one,
be
I'm
involved,
not
if that's what's happening.
exaggerating, there's a few days, we have it on video, there was so many rocks in the street, even the water company was doing some kind of work at the corner, and they say, man, these kids just don't listen, do they? And I said, that's all my rocks up there. He says, oh, it's your fault, and he laughed about it, but, I mean, it's a crime.
Well, obviously,
It is.
you know the parents, I mean, you know the kids that live there.
I've tried everything.
Parents to allow it?
Yeah, and the one girl that threatened me, she's only like maybe 24, and she encourages her daughter. Like if her daughter's doing the water stuff or the hopscotch, she'll say, nope, nope, you just stay there. She's wrong. You're allowed to do it. Stay there. And I just go in the house. I just don't want to confrontate, you know? It's a bad thing to confrontate. So again, when, like if you have, let's say 5 calls, 6 calls, 3 officers are saying, Marie, you're wrong. They're allowed to do what they're doing. And the other 3 are going, no, go home, or whatever they have to tell them. But the officers that are allowing it, that's encouraging them to do it that much more. And then if I do say anything, quit taking the rocks, okay? They'll say, well, we're allowed to stand here. I get what you're doing. That's a different thing. That's altogether different. And one officer told me if they're down at their house only 10 more feet away, how is that going to make a difference? I go, well, an example. I had a kid, he looked like he was maybe 12 or 13, for no reason at all, came up from their porch and was holding on to the fence and looking in. He was looking straight through my glass blocks. He was looking, you could see him in the camera, my surveillance, for no reason at all, and then just walked away. It's creepy. That creeps me out. That's just weird stuff. And that's just something small. And then like when I went out to get the mail yesterday, she ran from the porch, the girl that threatened me. She ran up on me and then peered into the street. I did report that yesterday. As she walked away, she called me a hater, and I just went in the house. I said nothing to her, so.
It's a police matter, you
That
have to
part
coordinate with the
is, yeah.
chief, and
Yeah, that
the
part
chief I know is very helpful. He'll
Yeah,
work
and
with
they,
you to try to solve
like
this.
again, they've been,
Police matter.
I've talked to Sergeant
Yeah.
Siege, and they did a couple extra
Yeah.
runs through, you know, like patrolling the area more, which is great until these hearings. Now, I don't know if this can ever happen, but next week, when these hearings are taking place, I'm going to ask if I can get a police escort home. Because the last time I did, that water blasting thing happened. I got in my face, they water blasted my eye. We were soaked from head to toe. I mean, I don't want to come home to something like that again. They're very revengeful.
How old are these kids?
They range from like, you know, like their parents are doing this. So the kids are like, let's say 7, 8 years old to like the parents up to 30 years old. Some are 20-something. And the grandparents are all there. And I've talked to them. I says, can you please do, you know, they hear you, but they don't answer and they don't care. They stand there and watch it happen. They stand there and watch it happen. These are renters. They are renting.
So Marie, you didn't give us your address and your name. What was your name and address?
I'm Marie Rustin. And I'm at 811, and that's East 11th Avenue, Munhall.
Yep.
Other than that, I mean, those people on my street, they wouldn't even know I exist. Because I just go, I get the mail, go in, I leave and come back. And I, by the way, it was answered tonight about the handicap sign will be next month. That's me. I can't even being that all this is going on, they go out of their way to park in front of my house constantly. I can't, I'm here with this, and I'm gonna have a sling because I'm getting an artificial shoulder next month, or in September rather. So it's like, I gotta walk across the street to get, you know, with groceries and stuff. And then I have like a whole bunch of therapy to do and stuff.
Marie, this has been going on a long time.
It has been.
When I was
It's
mayor,
gotten so
I would talk
worse.
to you weekly as well.
Yeah.
So Chief, I hope you can help us.
Oh, they have.
We do what we can, but,
Yeah.
I mean, with 3 to 8-year-old kids playing hopscotch on the sidewalk, it's not a police issue.
That's true.
We have to do it call by call. We've arrested several people.
Right,
You've gone to court several times.
right.
We're doing what we can, but there's some things that we can't help you with.
Like, I can't just go out there and say, hey, can you just go home or go in front of your house? I mean, right?
They're allowed to be on walk by your house. They're allowed
That's
to
fine.
play in the street. They're
Yeah,
allowed
that's
to
all
walk in the
fine.
street.
That, I
But you
got
call
over
for
it.
that all the time. too.
Well, they hopscotched my sidewalk, I got pictures, it's Crayola all over. And
It's
they're out
sidewalk
there
stuff.
jumping around, you know, they're in front of my home. And they're caught, they're constantly caught, and they don't just do that there. The pictures show they're still in decorative rocks and doing,
So
right
you
in,
call us and there's things that we can arrest.
and some
We
you
cite,
can't.
we arrest, but there's a lot that you call that we can't do anything about.
Right.
So my advice to you, Marie,
Mhm.
would be to be prudent about calling the police unless you really have to.
Right, I'm trying,
And
really.
then just go from there, honestly, because you don't want to waste police officers'
No, I
time.
don't, and
And
these
you
kids.
certainly don't want to agitate the situation to make
More.
little kids
Mhm.
become
No.
even more
Nope. I mean,
problems.
when I'm out there, if I just make an appearance, even just going to get the mail, my self-esteem right now, I talked to a therapist, and I'm admitting it, because my self-esteem right now from this neighborhood situation, I am told at least every other day in my life, go in the house and have a stroke and die. I can't wait till you die. They tell me how prejudiced that I am and how I'm this and I'm that. It's sickening.
Marie,
It's just sickening.
I think you're doing really well. You look
Mhm.
really good.
Mhm.
Just keep a positive attitude.
Right, right.
Just keep on going, okay?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna move on,
All
okay?
right, sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments?
Rick, can I make a comment?
Sure.
That's okay. I would like to ask if I can have a motion added to our agenda tonight. Because back on May 27th, when we had the Memorial Day event, the parade, and then we went to the cemetery, afterwards, we always have the luncheon, well, I shouldn't say always, we used to have it in the Munhall Borough building. And last year, and this year, we have gone to Ann Ashley. And we use their kitchen, we use their hall. They do the cleanup, they are phenomenal. And I asked Mr. Sabinsky, who's our finance person, if he would please write a check for a donation from, we have a Memorial Day fund in the budget, to Ann Ashley Church. He said he can't do that unless he has an invoice. So I called the church. They said their head trustee told Judy Recchiola, who's their secretary, we cannot send an invoice. We're a nonprofit. An invoice is a bill. If they want to make a donation, they would write the check for $100 and on the memo line put donation for Memorial Day. I think anybody who knows $100 is pretty darn cheap. However, I would like to ask if it was told to me that Mr. Sabinsky said, just take it before council. If they approve, we'll do it. So I'm going to ask if
So
you could please.
can I interrupt you for a minute?
You sure can.
Greg, are we allowed to make a donation?
We should do this, yeah, we can make a donation, but it should be next month because of the agenda items.
We are allowed to make
No.
a donation.
Yes,
Okay, so we'll do that.
put it on the agenda for next month.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Question.
Yes.
Donna on Shady Avenue. I just wanted to ask how often the speed radar signs are moved.
I'm in the process of relocating them now. We're
Okay.
getting a list of where we will move to next.
Okay. So the two that are on Ravine Street, very close to each other, will be moved?
Yes,
Is there a reason why there were two on
we were
Ravine
doing a
Street?
traffic study.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Brad Patriga, 1332. I also wanted to say thank you just for the actions that you have all been taking over the past 2 to 3 weeks regarding the 1336 Margaret Street property. One of my concerns, and this has been over the course of a year or two now, that has led us here. I've noticed now we're without a borough manager. I also noticed that Mr. Little left as the interim borough manager, and I know I'm not privy to personnel issues, but my concern is that things are going to continue to fall through the cracks like 1336 did. So that would be my first question is, what's going on there so that we prevent the falling through the cracks. The second thing is I brought this up, I think 2 meetings ago, where there's an Act 152 blight removal grant through Allegheny County, and that's going to be opening up here in the next month or two, either in July or August. There are plenty of properties I'm sure that would qualify for that. One that I just throw out there now is 1600 Andrew Street, which is close to us. Very similar situation to 1336 Margaret, where it burned down and had been sitting there for a while, but that's just around the block from us. But I've noticed that's not been discussed there. I already mentioned the emergency funds for 14 days within the incident, and then also there's the community development block grant that's coming up in September or October. I think it's after the Act 152 grant. All of those are funds that could be used to address some of these properties in Munhall that are vacant or damaged. And I'll give you some background on that. This property at 1336 Margaret, we had, I know that you and I had discussed this, and even my neighbor prior to Maggie and Randall discussed this, it was vacant for a very long time. And I think when vacant properties aren't addressed, and then an incident happens where we had some people in the backyard, they set the back porch on fire, and now you've got a vacant property that's turned into a health hazard. I think addressing some of that is actually preventative in terms of what we're seeing here in our next to us. As far as blight goes, I mean, poor David Cannon's got all these different things on his docket. And the fact that it takes so long too, like you mentioned. I'd love to see Munhall get a little bit more aggressive with some of these things, whether it's high grass or vacant properties or damaged properties. I would like to know how do these vacant properties get dealt with in a systematic fashion. There's also, I call the land bank, the Triborough Land Bank, which is just right up the street from us. I think it's technically in Homestead, it's in the old Homestead, I think it's in the old Homestead High School. They said that West Homestead is a member of their land bank. Homestead is a member of their land bank. Munhall is not a member of their land bank. And I don't know any more than that. I just found that kind of curious to see that our borough is the only one of the 3 that is not a member of that.
When I came back this year, I was shocked to find out that we weren't a member of that.
Yeah.
I took it for granted we were.
Yeah.
But we are not.
I was surprised as well when I called. Now, I don't know exactly how land banks work in the very specific details, but I know that's another tool that can be used to take a hold of vacant properties and then get them back on the tax rolls and get them sold and repurposed. And then finally, what I just wanted to say was thinking bigger picture for Munhall, a vision for Munhall. I would love to see, we heard tonight about the high grass, putting measures in place where we have people that are taking care of their properties, that make the community look great, that we're taking vacant houses and vacant lots and repurposing them and allowing them to be used for investment, to get that back on the tax rolls, and really just improve the community as a whole. That's what we would love to see at Margaret Street and the surrounding blocks around Margaret Street, and I think actually that would benefit all of Munhall. I know Ravine Street was brought up tonight as well as having several vacant properties. It improves our neighborhood and it also gets properties back in the tax rolls. So that's all I have for my comments as far as the borough manager and dealing with vacant properties. Those are my only 2 questions.
Any CDBG money is already allocated for this year. Any applications will be for next year.
Yes, correct.
We're already taking care of it for this year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is more of a forward-looking way. I was, in theory, we could have applied last year for these properties that we voted on tonight.
Okay.
So looking ahead now to next year, are there properties that could be applied for that, like 1600 Andrew Street? that would not come out of the borough funds, and not come out of the budget.
Brad, I would like to comment that Ann Lewis from the Land Bank, okay, she came and made a presentation to our council. And we talked as a council, we listened to the whole thing. I have to admit, it sounded, I mean, before she got here, it sounded like, why wouldn't we do this? However, after she presented and we asked questions, we didn't see the advantage. You are not guaranteed that you will. You put money in, but you have no guarantees that they will take your house. You might pay for 5 to 10 years, and then they'll fix it up some. You'll get it back on the list. But if I'm not mistaken, it had to be on the list 5 years before the borough got
They take a
tax money.
percentage.
It was like, good Lord, we're throwing money into something. So we chose not to do it. I just want to say that to
Yeah,
you
no, that's
because it sounded really good. Like, why isn't everybody doing it? And Homestead is, and West Homestead, seriously, as a council, we said, not now.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, one of the benefits of the land bank, as I researched it, was that if there are back taxes on that property, the land
They
bank
won't
can wipe those back taxes, and then that allows somebody to actually purchase that property without dealing with tens of thousands of dollars and just paying back taxes.
Well, the sheriff's cell also does that too. The second time through, it goes through pretty clear.
Okay, yeah.
What the problem, I mean, here, you can call me tomorrow, and we'll talk, and I'll tell you
Okay.
everything I've learned in the last 17 years about.
Yeah, I'd love to pick your brain.
It's an hour conversation,
Okay.
if not longer.
I'm
So,
fine.
give me a call tomorrow afternoon, and I'll tell you everything I learned in 17 years,
I appreciate that.
okay? Because there's DCEV, I'm gonna, after I say this, there's DCEV
Hey,
money.
Dave, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is 1600 Andrew Street condemned yet?
That's actually a insurance, they paid, I think, I don't want to misspoke, but that's insurance money. They did send money
That's not
in.
my question. Insurance money and condemned.
No, we have
It's
not,
our borough.
we
Did
have
we
not-
condemn that property?
we have not
Yes or
gone,
no?
we have not gone through the condemnation process yet on that property, no.
Well, it's been 2 years. Let's move forward with it.
Okay, well, the borough manager would have to start the process.
Which I guess comes back to my point is when when we go through 3 borough managers in 2 years and currently don't have a borough manager, that makes this whole,
We
it
can start
sounds
the
like a
process,
lot of that.
we can start the process without a borough manager.
Right.
That's-
We can
The borough
definitely
manager
start the
works for
process
us.
without the borough manager.
We can do things without the borough.
And the land bank is a great asset to the borough. Look at the properties at 15th and West. Those are just land bank properties, and they're gone. Now it's one lot that Homestead will be able to use to get somebody to buy and build houses like going in down on 11th Avenue. So we should look into the land bank as a borough.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank you, Brad.
I look forward to being back next meeting to thank all of you once the process is finalized. So, thank you.
Hopefully.
I'm optimistic.
Right.
Okay, anyone else?
Oh, we can move forward with condemning that industry property. I mean, it's been over 2 years. There's abandoned vehicles that aren't inspected on the property. It burned out. Are we gonna do something about it? Yes or no?
We actually have money for it. There's 17,000, I think, I don't want to misspeak about it, but I'm pretty sure we have insurance money to tear that one down.
I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
So can we look into it?
Well, that's
I
that
mean, let's tear it
30,000,
down.
I think that's that 30,000 that we have. There's
How long have you
$30,000 in the,
We've not had $30,000 from that claim.
well, there's two houses that I'm aware of, and there might be more, but Mercer Street, there was a house on fire on Mercer Street that we got insurance fund money for, and also the one on Andrew Street.
We certainly can look into it, Councilman Eads.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been over 2 years.
Yeah. I
How
guess,
long have we had the money for Andrew Street?
I would say, I can't,
We don't know.
a month or two after a fire. They usually send the insurance
So it's
company.
2
sends it
years,
through.
right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
In lieu of not having a borough manager, and this maybe is a solicitor question, can the president direct that action?
Council as a whole.
Council as a whole can
Council.
direct all action.
Could a council member make a motion to address that at this time?
Council can make any motion at any time.
I make a motion to address it.
Well, we need to get a handle on the insurance money. This is the first I'm hearing about this. And then, Dave, you need to figure that out, call me, and then I'll tell you what I think, my opinion, the next step is.
I don't have privy to that information. I just hired from the insurance company to we sent money in. And I'm pretty sure you'd have to talk to Tim Little because he was doing a check on that money.
Tim was looking into the fire escrow
Right,
account,
that's
which
what-
is where that insurance money is.
Yes.
Correct, but there's no $30,000 deposit in there, I know that.
There's, I think, there might be a couple houses that are in there.
Tim's last meeting, he mentioned it, right?
Well, he was looking into it, he didn't know where some of the funds were allotted to, and you cannot spend that money unless it's allotted.
Right.
The money that's in there has to be spent on the property that's allotted for.
Right.
We need an accounting of the money that's in that account, and then I gotta go back and look at the ordinance. I mean, the ordinance, the insurance, the purpose of the ordinance is so that the property owner doesn't just take the insurance proceeds and leave a burned out shell. So the borough gets to hold the money to guarantee that the property owner either restores the property or tears down the burned out shell and fixes the problem. And if they don't, then eventually we can take the money and use it. But I don't recall a timetable, I haven't looked at that in years. I'd have to look at that as well. So those are two things that need to be done before we make a plan to go forward.
So why don't we do this?
Mr. President, if you look, here, I'll show this to you, give me a second.
Why don't we have Dave give us a list of properties that are sitting vacant, a total list of properties that are sitting vacant, so that we know, and
Where the lines are, Rick.
yeah, it's $30,000.
As of June 26th.
Right, but that's for all of them, that's
Right.
many houses, it's not just one house.
Right.
And you can't spend $30,000 on one house because.
We'd have to know what
some
was
of them-
allocated for
Some
the
of them,
house.
they don't even know what the allocations are for yet.
Right. So as far as Andrew Street, we'd have to know how much was allocated for that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So there's stuff that needs to be looked at, but I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to look at a list of the properties that are vacant and empty and dilapidated. That's why I asked about Ravine Street, because I had a resident ask me about Ravine Street several weeks ago. I said, please come to the meeting so we can talk. He didn't want to come, and I'll speak to you about that later, because you may know what building I'm talking about. But we need a total list throughout the borough, Dave, and you need to give it to council, all of council, so we all have it, and we can discuss it, and we can move forward. Obviously, Munhall can't tear down all the buildings that are in dilapidated condition. We have to go through funding and grants, and we have to be told when the grants are turned down. We were never told about that property the funding was turned down. And council doesn't sit and listen to, council doesn't get reports on that. So that's how it gets full, that's how it slips through the system, is because it's not reported. So we need a total list, Dave.
Okay, I can give it to you tomorrow.
I know you can. So that's why we need to have it, because honestly, then we need to go through our property and our committee for dilapidated property, and we need to have a meeting, and we need to go through that and sit down with you and go through that. Okay? I'll call a meeting for that and set it. I know Dave is the chairman, but we'll get it done. All right? Who else is on the committee, Dave?
Rainey?
And me?
Yep.
And you?
Yep.
So let's get a date.
All right, I'll get you one.
All right? And then we'll move on forward. And that way we won't be caught by surprise on properties here and there and everywhere. And we do need to get more vigilant on dilapidated properties and vacant properties and people that aren't taking care of their properties and people who aren't cutting their grass and who are leaving garbage in their lots. And they're in the alleyways of the borough are horrible conditions. Horrible. Unspeakable. And the only way you're gonna do that is through code enforcement. So let's move forward.
Mr. Brennan, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So once.
Yes, ma'am. I'm really not happy tonight.
I apologize, I'm sorry.
The All-Star game is on TV.
I know.
And we missed our pirate
And I
pitch.
think we missed the first inning.
Yes.
We missed the first inning. So my question is, once it is determined with the committee, when you're going to have this meeting with the
Correct.
community of Blake, is this a public meeting?
They are all public meetings.
So the public.
Any subcommittee is a public meeting.
Okay, so the
And
public.
it will have to be advertised
will be
again,
allowed to
and it will have to be done.
come. Great.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Well,
Absolutely.
we had them scheduled for Thursdays at 10 o'clock.
I know, we're gonna change that because it's not gonna work. Mr. Youngkins would like to change it, so we're gonna change it, and that's fine with me. Okay, so we'll get you a time and a date, and we'll have to advertise the time change, and we'll get that done.
The reason I changed it is because you couldn't get there either, right?
10 o'clock in the morning is rough for your work.
Well, Thursday, I come and sign checks. We figure we do it right after signing checks. That's okay. You can change it. Not a big deal. It's not a meeting that, it's not a council, committee that needs to meet every month, but it needs to meet. And we need to get public input on it as well. The public is invited on all meetings like that, absolutely. So, we will look into the property that Tim Eads was looking at. What property was that, Tim?
1600 Andrew Street.
1600 Andrew Street,
What was the address?
1600.
Between 17th and 16th on Andrew.
Right in the corner.
Right in the corner.
Poor guy passed away in the house.
It's on Red's house.
Okay, so,
He was there forever.
Yeah, you were up there.
any other questions before we move on to the end of the meeting? I'm just gonna wait for the solicitor to come through so we can go through our motions here. I believe we have to pay the bills. So if there's no more public questions, I'm gonna move forward to paying our bills. I know that that's something that has to be done. So, can I do that? Start with that, Mr. Solicitor?
Yes.
Can I?
Start with what?
We're gonna pay our bills?
Yes,
We can
motion
do that,
one.
right, motion
Yes.
one? All right, good. Motion to pay the bills for the period June 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024 is submitted. The grand total of $621,049.51. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Dave, second by Rich. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Motion number two, motion to approve payroll for the period ending June 6, 2024 through June 20th, 2024, with a total of $357,843.47. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Dave. Second by? Second by Rich again.
Wait, Rich, you second them all.
In favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, it's unanimous. We need to vote on the multi-mogul transportation fund grant. There's nothing involved in that, so we can do that.
That's the last motion.
All right, so we're gonna go for motion A, motion to approve the resolution for the multi-modal transportation fund grant. I need a motion. Motion by Kevin,
Second.
second by Mr. Shields. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's 100%. Okay,
The last two are deferred until next time.
okay. Any additional items by council? I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Bernie, second by Dave.
That was quick.
I thank you all for coming.